Round of applause for Ethan and Anil. So I'd like to let you introduce yourselves first. Anil.
Yeah, so I work for a women's fashion brand. So we're called Moda and Pele. Been around for 50 years, so we attract a lot of old people. We've got about 45 stores and concessions online. Work with some of the third parties like Next, John Lewis, all of those guys. And I currently work as chief exec over there. I've been there for 9 years now, so it's a pretty decent innings. And I work with a very eccentric owner as well. So if you want to hear some stories that I can't really share on stage, please do come see me.
And Moda in Pelle, which basically means,
way better than I pronounced it.
Thank you. For anyone who doesn't know, not native Italian, it's fashion leather or leather
That's
fashion.
the one.
Ethan.
So I work for a company called Salesfire. We're a data tech company, and kind of the core of what we do is we've got a suite of marketing tools and data enrichment tools, and our purpose is to ultimately help our customers get more sales and get more conversions on the site.
So I'm going to start with you, Anil. So in terms of what stage the business was at before you were introduced to Salesfire, can you just give us a bit of a picture where the before and the now?
Yeah, sure. So I'll try and give a bit more of a sort of holistic view of the business so far. So like I say, we've been around for years. I joined the business 10 years ago. The website was horrific, launched 2 weeks before Black Friday. It fell over on Black Friday, but that was fine. It worked out in the end. But yeah, we've been on a technology evolution ever since. So whenever anyone always speaks to me about the brand, I always say we're great at two things. We can pick a shoe, and we're great at tech. So we've just gone through an acquisition as a technology company. So we've actually been bought by a NASDAQ listed company. So we're very particular with technology partners that we work with, and we generally will try and do a lot of things in-house. But when these guys approached me, it was Sophie that had approached me from Salesfire and said, look, we're working on this thing. It's a great solution. We need a few guinea pigs. And I was like, yeah, go on, give it a go. Just speak to my guys, see how it goes. So we're in trade a couple of weeks later, and we'd noticed we track everything. You know, we've got an accountancy background, love numbers. Started looking at the emails, and I thought, this is strange. Look at this growth on here. So we've got roughly 500,000 email customers, but we could see our flows really starting to pick up, and they were significantly picking up. Like we were saying, 30-40% increase in flow performance, and it's a decent number. You know, we've got a good brand back. We've been around 50 years, and it was actually Sophie that then phoned me up and said, have you seen the numbers that you're generating at the moment? And she said, I've just looked at it holistically, and they were insane. And it helped identify customers which we were just missing. And it was such a simple solution in the sense of, she called me up, within a couple of hours it was live. 2 weeks later I'm looking at some numbers that are really starting to pick up, and it's just an easy win. But I'm sure this young man will give you the details of how it all works.
But was there a period of challenge when it comes to kind of growth? Was that, were you there at that point?
Yeah, I'm sure you guys are aware, it's very up and down trading at the minute. If I'm up in stores, I'm down on the web, and vice versa. When I speak to anyone else, I was chatting to a friend of mine who runs a social media agency, and just sort of asking him, how is trade at the moment? It's very up and down. It's very unpredictable. 1 week you'll be like, that's it, it's back, and the next week, you're like, why's my OV down? Why's my conversion down? And I know we're on a panel later on. I'm sure we'll talk about the challenges that websites have. But it's really tricky to predict, and we've found probably over the last 18 months our growth has really started to stunt a little bit, and that's not. We found it easy. The game has been very straightforward historically, but I would say over the last 18 months, you've got to fight for that performance uplift. And so when you start to look at your lifetime value, and lots of brands will start to discount to sort of drive up the sales and stuff, start hitting your GP and your margin, all those sorts of things. And as a holistic approach, I think it is getting trickier and trickier now. And I think customers are really starting to be particular with who they shop with. So I would say the easy days of e-commerce and just automatically seeing a growth, they're not over, but it's definitely a trickier place to be.
Yeah, so I'm guessing you're bringing loyalty back in as
Yeah,
hard.
we're looking into various loyalty schemes at the minute. There's lots of variations on there, and again, I've worked with some fantastic loyalty schemes, and so I did say to you, I can chat all the time. So I'll give you an example that I used to work with the original factory shop. They've got about 250 stores in the UK, and I tried to launch a loyalty scheme in that store. The number of customers in there was insane, and had the tech solution, went out, said, right, rubbed my hands, I said, watch this loyalty scheme grow. Captured about 50 a week. I said, couldn't work it out. I said, you know what, going into the store, so I went behind the tills myself and started to serve customers, and for love and money, just couldn't make it work. And I had some great advice from a marketing director there, and she said to me, it's about your execution. And it really got me thinking, and I started to read lots of influencing books and how to change people's mindset. So anyway, we were at this conference, and I stood at the front, and the chief exec at the time had said to me, right, for every email you capture, we're going to give £1 to charity. And he said, you can pick the charity you want. So I picked, and we had, it was again an older brand. We had lots of mums that used to work in the stores. And we said, right, Tony said he'll give £1 to every customer we capture. We're going to give it to Make-A-Wish Foundation. And they'd created me this video. And it was about children that are terminally ill. And it's about giving them an experience whilst they're here that their family currently can't provide them with. And we played the video. There wasn't a dry eye in the room in terms of what it would do. And I said, look, we sell shoes. I'd love to be a doctor or a surgeon, right? Because I want to change lives. I want to make a difference in life. I'm getting old now. I've got grey hairs. So I want to do something productive with my life. And there's not many opportunities you get to change lives. And I said, in our really small way in retail, we can do something here. Within 3 months, we had over 1 million people on the database. Yeah. We had to stop the offer because we were basically saying, it's £1 million. We had to pay it over a certain period. But it was all about, loyalty was all about getting, so if you're at store level, it was all about the buy-in with the people that capture it, because they can then sell the vision and sell the dream. And that applies to everything within any organisation. It's about taking people on a journey, but that journey also extends to customers. Yeah. So you've got to, it's not about, this is a great product, but it's about what it represents. Like, I will buy this because your journey is incredible. And I will tell people when I get home about the journey and the founder and everything, all the challenges that you've overcome. You know, you'll be an idol to my kids because I want them to do exactly the journey that you've had. And it's that story and that belief that people have, and that's what people buy into. It's not just about, good product that, I buy that. It's about more, it's about the value added.
100%. Ethan, from your side, tell us a bit about, Salesfire, what it offers its customers, and what kinds of brands you typically, obviously, we've got a brand here, but just typically, how do they get most value out of working with you and your team?
So Salesfire, in a nutshell, we started off as a company that had a suite of marketing tools, and we kind of quite quickly realized that marketing's only as good as the data you're feeding it. So we then kind of divulged ourselves to realize, okay, we've got to be absolutely brilliant at data. That's got to be our USP. And if you look at the marketing, you look at the software space, you've got like massive US tech giants, you've got the likes of Klaviyo, MailChimp, all these companies, and you're trying to compete with them. And like, we're a northern tech firm based in Middlesbrough, so like, it's absolute David and Goliath story. And what we realized is that we had to build tools that actually resonate with our customers. We had to build tools that actually made a material difference. So what we started doing is we started working with customers, just like Anil here, developing tech that kind of harnessed that customer data, giving customers tools that they kind of really wanted. So all of our product, everything we release comes from a customer insight. Every single product that we've released recently has come from a customer who's requested something to our account management. And what customers really see the value from us is that we make sure that when we get the data, the way that we harness it, and we feed that into whatever platform they want to work with. So for a long time, we were competing with the likes of Klaviyo, and then we realized that, we just need to work with them. And then we started feeding that data into Klaviyo. We realized that instead of going against the likes of Attentive, we'll feed that data in Attentive, we'll feed it into your Google ads, your Meta ads. And that's where customers really see the value from us, is that they don't necessarily realize the data they're missing. They don't realize the data they're not collecting on site, that Google has basically scrapped cookies, Apple has declared war on all tracking. It is basically impossible to track customers in the ways you used to be able to. And the way that we give the most value is that we give customers the ability to see their customers, see their clients, and kind of communicate and capture these customers that they're just missing and don't realize that they actually are.
So, Anil, just going back to, I'm just trying to picture the board at your end. What are they like?
We've got a new board now, so they're Dubai based.
Right.
And so it's ask me in a month. They seem like a nice bunch.
Yeah.
Ask me in about a month's time when we get absolutely hammered. But yeah, in terms of going back to the solution.
Historically, so if there's a problem, what are they asking you at that level to fix? What do they have a beef about?
If I look at them, we're a technology company that sells shoes. Sounds weird when you say it. And the challenge that I certainly have at the moment is, if I want a solution, the auto response internally is, we can build that. Yeah, so they'll automatically think, yeah, I've got a team of 50 devs over in Dubai that think they can build everything and then some. So that's always a bit of a tricky one to get certain things past the post. But going back to this young man's sort of solution, you'll all go back in the office and your chief exec will turn around and say, what have you learned? Because they'll be a little bit annoyed that you've gone out of the office. Could have given you loads of work to do. And they're like, is there any value to this? It works, right? So there's not many things. If it's crap, I'd say it was crap, right? And if you want something that just works, and you can phone them up and you want like this, they'll give you 2 weeks free. Yeah, just say Anil said.
Just say that.
And you can quote me and say, Anil.
We're not paying you for this now.
I know it's fine, right? Just say, the chief exec of Moda, Anil, the short brown guy, said that I could get 2 weeks free, right, automatically. I don't even need to argue it. They'll give you it for free for 2 weeks, and it will work, right? And I've tried it with a tech. So we had Klaviyo, and we saw a huge uplift on that. I'll do some non-exec stuff as well, and I got sold a dream by a couple of attentive accounts that said, Klaviyo's rubbish, we can track even more customers, you don't need Salesfire solutions and so on. Average at best. So the solutions out there, they're all right, but it's a really simple win. So you've probably got the numbers to hand, haven't you? I think we're plus 500,000 in terms of additional revenue for the year.
Yeah, I think it's about.
And I'm paying no way. Like Wunderkind does a good job.
Yeah.
But they probably take most of that 500,000. So the costs are nowhere near that, right? So it's highly cost effective. It's everything for me in this world. If someone's selling you something, it's proof of concept. You argue the toss, you get it for free, trial it, and then I'll pay. And so it's really straight. Sorry, agencies don't like to hear me say that, but that's the truth of it all. And so if you're going to take anything away from this and you want to look like a bit of a superstar, give it a go. It costs you nothing. They'll integrate it within a couple of hours. You'll see some results, and then you can make your decision after that.
He's on commission, yeah?
I should be on commission.
What arrangements have you made with our CEO behind my back?
Ethan, just tell me, rewind right back to when you guys first looked at Moda and Pelle, and what was the immediate like thing that you spotted, and are there things that generally speaking most brands just don't realise?
Yeah, I think when you look at the world of data and you look at kind of like identity meshing, which is where you find customers who weren't traditionally tracked and then you suddenly track them, is most companies don't realise how much data they're actually missing. Like you think that about 90 to 95% of site visits are anonymous, and if you can track 2, 3, 4% of those and get those back onto site and convert them, that's a huge potential revenue pot. But like 95% of people that our sales guys will speak to and our business development managers will speak to just don't know it's a problem, and trying to tell someone like you're missing all these sales is like genuinely one of the hardest sells, because people just don't want to believe it. They don't trust it. And like Anil said, that we all put our tech on, and I think we'd made back cost within about 13 hours. So like the cost of the platform versus actually making it. And like that is just an incredible sort of amount of money you can make that most people just don't realize isn't there.
The key, I mean, you just said it, 95% or thereabouts is anonymous. That's a crazy figure.
Yeah. Like most people's data is just missing or gone, or like not even looking at the AI Connect products as a whole, but like you think of first-party data collection and tracking and all these sort of things is just people are missing an absolute
But
metric.
the thing is, it's come out of nowhere, and I don't think people have realised that. I remember the old days, you could do anything you wanted. GDPR, what was that? And you could do anything you liked, and slowly but surely, this data is slowly sort of migrated away, and it's starting to turn into a lot more guesswork.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when you can find solutions that are better at identifying customers, I think it's a bit of a no-brainer.
I mean, how many brands do you work with?
600-700 plus.
Right. So what's the biggest sort of the misconception that you get from these brands? What's the biggest, like, what is it that they're just not getting to start off with before you start kind of educating them?
I think a little bit of it is not Anil in this case, but a lot of it is a bit of an ego thing where you talk to, like, especially with the bigger, more established brands, you talk to like e-commerce managers, marketing directors, etc. A lot of people aren't willing to accept that there's a problem. A lot of people aren't willing to accept, or like they're quite defensive and think that, oh yeah, this isn't a problem. This isn't something that I need to look at, or you just, Klaviyo can do this, Attentive can do this, these other platforms can do this. Why would I speak to you? And when you actually get granular and you get down to the numbers and you kind of show them exactly what they're missing, which is where the 2-week trial helps, suddenly they're sat there.
There's only 1 week, it's now 2 weeks.
Yeah. And suddenly they're sat there and the egos get down and they're like, all right, yeah, this is a pretty viable solution. Like, let's talk more. So yeah, I think it's just trying to get through to people.
I mean, brands in the room, what should they actually be focusing on? Knowing what you know from all of the different categories that you work with, different brands, etc. What should they really be focusing on?
Data. Absolutely, you need to be capturing as much data as possible, whether it's through an identity meshing service, whether it's through pop-ups, first-party data collection, through your checkout, whatever it is. Like the amount of brands I work with, I was looking at a brand the other day that turned over £34 million a year and didn't have a cookie policy on their website, and were tracking no one. And just said, oh, we didn't think email was a viable channel for us. And we're like, your Klaviyo flows have made nothing. Like, was this not a red flag? Whatever your form of data collection is, you need to be absolutely shit hot on it, because it's getting worse, it's harder. Google are scrapping cookies, obviously, like Safari's blocking, tracking. Like, if you're not collecting data on a first-party data basis, your return rate is just going to be terrible, your customer retention rate is going to be terrible, you may get first orders through the board, but you're going to be spending all your money on acquisition, and you're not going to get any of those customers to come back.
Knock-on effect, isn't it?
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I think this whole gathering first-party data has become, I don't think people put it as high as it is, and now it's because it's so difficult to track people that you do have to capture some type of first-party data now to at least resonate with your customers and get in front of them.
After you implemented this, Anil, so what changed? Average order value?
Email always has a higher average order value. Yeah. Absolutely. So
revenue lift, those?
Yeah, so you know, like I say, it's tracking, I think it's plus 500 incremental of sales over 12 months. And when you start to dig a little bit deeper into that, my email customers are always the brand loyal. So
you're returning.
So you're talking lifetime value, talking RFM models, so your recency, frequency, monetary, all the good metrics you want to look at. But then also from an AOV perspective. So if I'm looking at how we're trading at the moment, my AOV is shot to bits to an extent on most of the other channels. But on my email, it's actually been pretty solid because they're buying to the newness a little bit more with higher ticket values. And so it's very channel driven.
Did anything really surprise you?
That it worked. To be fair, I've known the Salesfire guys for quite a while, and you know, they'll, and I've known Sophie for years as well. So when she phoned up, she says, look, I was in the middle of a meeting as well, and she says, any chance I can try something on? I said, speak to Matt, who's my eCom director. He'll sort it out for you. Just tell him I said yes. And they just went away and did it. And when I spoke to, like I say, our eCom director, he said, well, it took him a few hours to sort out, and we're starting to get some data. And so, yeah, it was a surprise because we get pitched solutions constantly, right? And
must be hard.
And it's very difficult to see the woods for the trees.
And constant 2-week freebies, don't you?
This is it. I don't mind a good freebie if it works. So, but everyone's claiming sales, you know. So it says, oh, they didn't send that, I sent that, and he sent that, and he sent that, and so on. And so, holistically, it's right. How are you tracking? Yeah. So it's looking at the sort of top line metrics as opposed to the sort of individual channels. But I think it is getting more to find easy opportunities, like SMS. I think I was talking about SMS 6 years ago now. My database on SMS is 250,000 at the minute. I send a text and it's like TV.
Yeah.
So I remember doing TV ads and you're like, please site don't break down. SMS is exactly the same. It's an instant hit. And so for about 40 minutes of sending your text, your site is getting brutally abused, but your revenue figures just shooting up. And so that was a huge win. I remember talking about that a few years back. And again, it's just, I've not found anything since. So everything else is marginal gains.
What do they like to work with? So, and something for other techs in the room to kind of take stock of.
I'll use the word no bullshit, which I enjoy, and which is similar to myself. If something's good, I'll say it's good. If it's bad, I'll say it's bad. So very transparent, and they will. And like I said, I've known the guys since the inception and how they've grown, because they were a sort of spin-off of Visual Soft, who we've worked with quite closely. So, but they get it's Rich that sort of runs a department, and he's just a really, really good guy, and he's really passionate. And like I say, I'm getting old now. I work with people I really like and trust, and those sorts of things. That we have an org chart. So when I was eCom director, we'd have the organisational chart, and it would have all of the partners that we'd work with, the individuals in there. And the way I see it is that's the extension, that's my team. They're an extension of us. They're not a separate entity. So when we're having meetings and stuff, you guys get involved because it's a team game, and it's a team sport, and if you want to win, you've all got to be on the same page with it. And I see these guys exactly that. I don't see them as an agency. If I start to see them as an agency, I'm working with the wrong people.
I've just been tapped on the shoulder because I'm starting to run out of time. I want to ask you both quickly. So next week, if everyone goes away and does one practical thing, this is to both of you, what would you recommend?
The 2-week free trial.
Yeah, I knew that.
If I've got it wrong, apologise to Rich because I've got him in trouble. But it works, right? So I'd say these ones are SMS and all those sorts of things. However, what I would say right now is it is a very tricky time in e-commerce. It's a really tricky time in business. It is around operational excellence. Yeah, it's about the efficiencies. So I am a terrible sleeper, and I will wake up at 2 or 3 in the morning every day, and I will watch things about AI and Claude Code and all those sorts of boring things. I found it therapeutic. The game is changing. Yeah, so and like I said, we are a tech company. Things are moving quick in the tech space, and the game is evolving very quickly. And what I would say is things that you couldn't do 6 months ago, 12 months ago, you can start to do now. And it's, you look at how to make a business as profitable as it can be, and there's some amazing things you can do with AI at the moment. I'd say have a look into it. Don't be afraid of it. People are scared. It just gives you more time to do other stuff, right? So we design footwear now, and we use software to do that. And I can throw out 100 versions of something. So let's say, for example, I wanted to create let's say Gymshark was my competitor. I'd literally just go to bestsellers, rank it in order, upload it into a system, say, give me 1,000 variations of this, and I've got, don't let me get done for copyright, and lo and behold, I've just got a whole collection which looks fantastic, and I know it'll probably sell, right? And I've done that in 20 minutes, and that's the way things are starting to move. And I'm not saying do that, but I'm saying that's an example of how AI is really starting to change how things work. So I would say AI has allowed you to have operational excellence within your business, and that's where you need to be focusing on, because that money that you save within that can be used for other things such as marketing and driving sales and all those sorts of things.
Ethan?
For me, audit your data. Go on site, start trying to track some orders, test users, put items in your cart, check your cookies, try and see what you're missing. Everyone is talking about AI, and everyone's talking about how powerful it is and the potential of it, but it's built on data, and if that data is terrible and you're not tracking the right users, or you've got duplicate orders, you're not tracking orders, things like that, it's never going to work for you. So go on your sites, test it, make sure that everything's working as expected, and if it's not, get it fixed.
I think I might have time for one. No, I haven't got time for another question. You can grab these guys afterwards. But thank you very much, Anil.
Thank you very much.